Well of Souls. So Spirit Barrage, Well of Souls, Zombie Charger, Spirit Walk, Honored Guest, Tornado, Lifelink Dogs, and Slam Dance. And now basically what's going to happen with this build is when you are when you're running around, if you watch my mana regen right now, it's 60%. So when I'm running around, I'm going to kind of be throwing Well of Souls a little bit. And as you can see, when I throw Well of Souls, it goes up. My mana regen keeps going up. It will continually go up until it reaches a peak that is dependent on your attack speed. So like if you had 3.0 attacks per second, it's going to get really, really high. If you had 1.0 attacks per second, it's not going to get as high. So attack speed will help a little bit with this, but it's not really needed. Attack speed is not really needed. So I'm peaking at around 245 or 250 mana regen per second. And that takes 10 seconds to get up to. In that time period that you're at that mana regen, when you're throwing bears, you have pretty much infinite bears. So as you can see, my mana is not going anywhere. And then slowly as that mana regen comes down, it'll start to even back out. And then you start throwing your Well of Souls again. Get your mana regen back up. Throw some bears. Throw some more spirit. Throw some bears. Some more spirits. Bears. Kind of back and forth with it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you in action what it looks like. What's up, UMVC? And as I'm walking around, I kind of just throw, I'll throw a few Spirit Barrages here and there to get my mana regen prepped for whatever I'm about to fight. And these walls are just professional.
I did not expect to cross paths with another passive in such a place.
And anytime you're about to do something like this, you can sit here and just throw Spirit Barrage like a boss, or waiting for something to come out. Get your mana regen prepped and ready for whatever you're about to do. And you can use Spirit Barrage as a ranged attack too, instead of running all the way over to something with bears. Because what you have to remember is when you're throwing something across the screen, even if it's doing less damage, like this guy over here, by the time I would have got to him and killed him with bears, even though bears is more damage, it would have actually taken the same amount of time to get to him and kill him with bears than to just sit here with Spirit Barrage and kill him. So Spirit Barrage, once you get used to it, the way that you use it in a ranged standpoint, it becomes a decent amount of damage in comparison to bears. Even though it's not as much as bears, it still is a decent amount because of the fact that it's almost instant damage and it's across screen. So when you have Spirit Barrage around a mana, even when I use Rush Bastions, how is this possible? Well, what is your base mana regen per second? Because if you look at your mana regen per second, you have Rush of Essence on. When you use Spirit Barrage, your mana regen should go up. But yes, if you have a ton of attack speed, it's going to pull down real quick, but it should regen a lot faster. You should be able to get your regen up pretty quick. Okay, yeah, it's you shouldn't have too much of a problem. Just remember to kind of throw it as you walk around every now and then. Yeah, if your max mana is really low, what's going to happen is you're going to see it pull down really quick. But it's kind of an illusion because even though you have less max mana, the mana regen is going to be regening a lower amount of mana, but much quicker because it's the mana pool is so small. So it is good to have higher max mana, but your mana regen is still regenerating the same amount of mana per second, regardless of what your regardless of what the mana pool looks like when you're using it. Another cool thing is with Shard of Hate, if you watch closely, you see that the little ice skull that comes out? That actually adds quite a bit of damage to Spirit Barrage, and it pierces too, so it's considering that it pierces and it's 231 weapon damage every time it hits, it's a pretty decent synergy with Spirit Barrage as well. You should be good with 880 mana. But just, I would definitely run this passive setup. That might be your problem. You might not be running this passive setup. Blood Ritual, Spiritual, and Grave Injustice with Rush of Essence. So try those three together. Attack speed, I have 1.54 right now. Oops, someone's supposed to go in there. Yes, this is pretty much a starter build. This is what I ran all the way up until I found Jade. This exact same setup right here. I only switched to Pierce when I found 4-piece or 3-piece Jade, and with Grandeur gave me the 4-piece mana regen. And in that case, I swapped Rush of Essence out. I swapped Rush of Essence for Pierce because with the 20 mana regen per second, and getting a slot besides Spirit Barrage, and I actually switched Spirit Barrage to Soul Harvest with Swallow Your Soul for the extra max mana. It was pretty much, you never run out of mana. So if you do have 3-piece Jade and Grandeur and you can run the 4-piece with mana regen, I definitely recommend running Pierce. It's pretty easy to do. Another thing to remember with this build is you can run Spirit Barrage as a CC as well because it does slow things down. So don't think that you're wasting DPS, like effective DPS per second by throwing Spirit Barrage, because considering you're slowing things down and being able to angle your bears a little bit better because things are closer and not moving, away from you. it does help. So that's especially, that comes into effect big time versus things like ghosts and the fat guys in Act 3 that have the shielding, succubuses. The Spirit Barrage is insanely valuable versus succubus that just fly away from you constantly. Sometimes I don't even use bears. I'll sit there and just Spirit Barrage until they're dead because they just tend to run away from you constantly. On Spirit Walk, I run Honored Guest. Gives you 20% max of your maximum mana, so it's really, really good for those times when you're like really low on mana and you really need something. There's no globes around if you don't have Gruesome Feast on or whatever. It works really good. What do I do when I'm waiting for this piece of shade to drop in 1 to 2 weeks? Well, I just keep farming and don't think about it. That's what I do. That's what's happened to me. It's been since release. I had almost full jade, besides the gloves, 4 or 5, like 5 days after release, and since then I have not found a single pair of gloves. So rough times, rough times. What was the passives? I think I actually have, let me just double check. Make sure this is the exact same as what I'm running. Okay, in place of this build right here, the first link, the without Reaper Wraps is the same, other than the fact that I have Feast on instead of Blood Ritual, and Swallow Your Soul instead of Lifelink Dogs. Now, like I said, if you have a Serpent, you're going to want to run Lifelink Dogs for sure, so drop Soul Harvest for Lifelink Dogs for sure. Also, you can switch depending on either the Torment, because lower Torment globes are popping a lot more often. Higher Torment, they're not as much because things have more health and you're not killing them as fast, in which case I run Blood Ritual instead of Gruesome Feast. So Blood, Grave, Spiritual, and Rush. Yep, the Reaper Ops build is the second link when you type in solo build. And let me just double check that's the correct link too. Actually, it looks like it's showing the same. Okay, yeah, the first link is without Reaper and the second is with Reaper Wraps. Another thing to remember is when you get too low on mana and you can't continually cast Spirit Barrage anymore for the mana regen, pop Spirit Walk with Honored Guest, and that'll give you just enough mana to continually throw Spirit Barrage and get your mana regen back up. No, you don't really need a reduced cost with this build. I go with mana regen over reduced cost, but reduced cost does help if you can get it in a few slots.